The human mind is like a sprawling mansion. We mostly stick to the well-lit rooms, but there are shadowy corners and hidden passages we rarely explore. Some memories are bright and comforting, others are unsettling, almost alien. Sometimes it feels like our brains are running the show and we're just along for the ride. Today we're kicking down the doors to those hidden rooms and diving into 5 psychological facts that sound like fiction, but are backed by real science. Get ready, because this is going to be a trip. Welcome to GothicPsy, let's begin. Let's start with Cotard's delusion, a truly unsettling real-life horror story that sounds like something straight out of a Gothic novel. Imagine waking up one morning not just feeling a little down, but utterly convinced that you're dead, or that your internal organs are slowly rotting away inside you. It's a terrifying thought, isn't it? This isn't just a fleeting feeling of numbness or a bout of depression. It's a deeply ingrained, unshakable belief that you simply do not exist anymore, that your life force has somehow been extinguished. People grappling with Cotard's delusion might completely lose their appetite and stop eating altogether. Food becomes irrelevant, a pointless exercise for someone who believes they are no longer alive. Speaking, communicating, or even acknowledging the presence of others becomes a monumental challenge. Why bother engaging with the world when you believe you're already detached from it? In the most extreme cases, individuals might even try to seek out morgues or cemeteries, driven by an overwhelming urge to join the dead, because they are utterly convinced that they rightfully belong there, among the deceased. What's happening inside the brain to cause this? Well, the brain's intricate wiring system goes completely haywire. Specifically, the part responsible for recognizing your own face and the area that attaches emotional significance to it cease to communicate effectively. When you look in the mirror, you experience a profound disconnect. You feel absolutely nothing when you gaze upon your reflection, or even worse, you feel as though you're staring at a complete stranger, an unfamiliar face that holds no meaning for you. It's far more than just a minor glitch in perception, it's a complete and utter warping of reality itself. Some sufferers even complain of a persistent and disturbing smell, the putrid odor of their own rotting flesh, even though they are, in reality, perfectly healthy from a physical standpoint. In essence, the brain conjures up a personalized horror story, and you, the afflicted individual, are tragically trapped as the main character, forced to endure this terrifying narrative. While it's a rare condition, Cotard's delusion serves as a stark reminder of just how fragile and delicate our sense of self truly is. When the brain's crucial identity circuits break down or malfunction, the very fabric of reality shatters into pieces. Cotard's delusion is frequently linked to underlying conditions such as severe depression, psychosis, or traumatic brain injury. One particularly famous and well-documented case involves Mademoiselle X, a patient who was convinced that she possessed no brain, no nerves, and nothing but skin and bones. Yet paradoxically, she also believed that she would live forever in this decaying and skeletal state. Just imagine the sheer torment and anguish of believing that you are already dead, yet simultaneously cursed to continue existing in that lifeless state for all eternity. It's a truly horrifying paradox, a nightmare scenario beyond comprehension. Our fundamental sense of being alive, of experiencing the world around us, is so deeply ingrained that we often take it for granted. But for those afflicted with Cotard's, that sense simply vanishes, or even more disturbingly, twists into something utterly terrifying and unrecognizable. Reality, it turns out, is largely a construct of the mind, and sometimes, that construct can transform into a psychological prison. Treatment is a complex and challenging process, often involving medication, therapy, and a range of supportive interventions. In some severe cases, doctors may even resort to electroconvulsive therapy in an attempt to reset the brain's malfunctioning circuitry. The journey back to reality is often a long and arduous one, requiring individuals to painstakingly relearn that they are, in fact, alive, and to gradually rebuild trust in their own senses and perceptions. Cotard's delusion serves as a chilling and unsettling reminder of the immense power of the human brain. If your own brain can convincingly trick you into believing that you're dead, what other false realities can it conjure up and make you believe? Our minds are incredibly powerful tools, but sometimes they can turn against us in the most devastating ways. It's the ultimate form of gaslighting, but it's coming from inside your own head, making it all the more insidious and difficult to combat. While the cases of Cotard's delusion are relatively rare, they force us to confront a profound question. How much of our perceived reality is simply a story that our brain is constantly telling us? And when that story goes horribly wrong, it's not just a little unsettling or disconcerting, it transforms into a full-blown nightmare, a living hell. The resilience and strength of those who manage to recover from Cotard's delusion is truly awe-inspiring, but the underlying fragility of our minds remains undeniably apparent. Cotard's delusion, a stark and unsettling proof that the mind in its most vulnerable state can become its own worst enemy, a source of unimaginable torment. And this is just the first, albeit terrifying room in our exploration of the vast and complex psychological mansion. Are you ready to venture deeper and see what other psychological phenomena are lurking in the shadows? Let's move on and explore the next unsettling mystery of the mind. The next fact we're going to explore is about your own face, and the unsettling truth that you've never actually seen it as it truly is. Brace yourself, because this one might just blow your mind. Here's a weird one, a real mind-bender. You've never actually seen your own face the way it truly is. Think about that for a moment. It's a concept that challenges our very perception of self, not the way others do. The image you have of yourself is unique to you, and different from the image everyone else holds. Mirrors show you a reversed image, a flipped version of reality. It's a fundamental aspect of how mirrors work, but its impact on our self-perception is profound. Your left is right, your right is left. This simple reversal has a significant impact on how we perceive our own features and overall appearance. You're so used to this flipped version, it becomes your real face in your mind. Your brain adapts and accepts this mirrored image as the authentic representation of yourself. But everyone else sees the true, unflipped you. They see the version of you that you rarely, if ever, get to see directly. Thanks to the mirror exposure effect, you actually prefer your mirrored face because it's familiar. The more you see something, the more you tend to like it, even if it's just a reflection. That's why photos can look off or even unsettling. They present a view of yourself that clashes with your ingrained self-image. They show you as the world sees you, not as you see yourself. It's a jarring experience to confront this unfamiliar version of your own face. Every asymmetry, every feature, is reversed in the mirror. So your self-image is always a little bit distorted, subtly skewed from reality. It's like there are two versions of you existing simultaneously, the mirror you and the world you, two distinct representations shaped by perception and reflection. Most people prefer their mirrored photo while friends prefer the real one. It's not vanity, it's psychology. It's about familiarity versus genuine representation. Our face is central to our identity, but our main way of seeing it is through a filter, a reversed reflection that shapes our self-perception. Next time you look in the mirror, remember, that's your brain's favorite version, not the world's. It's a comfortable illusion, a familiar face that may not entirely align with reality. It's a subtle, constant distortion, a slight but persistent alteration of your true image. If our self-image is built on a warped reflection, what else are we seeing through a skewed lens? What other aspects of our reality are subtly distorted by our own perceptions? It's a small but unsettling reminder. Even our most familiar features are a bit of an illusion, a construct of perception and reflection. The mind's tricks don't stop there. Let's talk about your memories, because they're not as reliable as you think, and are often subject to their own unique forms of distortion. We like to think of memories as perfect recordings, like a pristine film reel stored away in the archives of our minds. But the reality is, your brain is more like a sneaky editor, constantly cutting, splicing, and rearranging the footage. It's an active process, not a passive one. Every time you recall a memory, your brain doesn't just play it back, it reconstructs it, piece by piece. And during this reconstruction, your brain can subtly, or sometimes drastically, change it in the process. It's a fluid and dynamic system. This fascinating phenomenon is called reconsolidation. Your mood, your emotional state at the time of recall, can significantly influence how that memory is reshaped. New information, things you've learned since the event occurred, can also seep into the original memory, altering its details. Or even someone else's version of events, a different perspective on what happened, can subtly alter your own memory of the situation. Over time, through repeated recall and reconsolidation, your most cherished memories, the ones you hold dearest, might be subtly rewritten, evolving into something slightly different than what actually occurred. It's like a game of telephone with yourself where the message gets slightly garbled with each repetition. The more you retell a story, embellishing it here and there, the more it can change, becoming more dramatic or humorous with each iteration. Until the edited version, the embellished narrative becomes your truth, the way you genuinely remember it happening. Eyewitness testimony, often surprisingly unreliable because memories are so malleable and susceptible to suggestion. Our brains fill in gaps, those missing pieces of the puzzle, with assumptions and inferences. We blend similar events, merging different experiences into a single composite memory. And sometimes we even invent details, fabricating scenes that never actually occurred, but feel real nonetheless. Sometimes, through suggestion or manipulation, people can be convinced of things that never happened at all, creating entirely false memories. Our memories shape our identity, providing us with a sense of self, but if they're constantly changing, being subtly or drastically altered, so are we, in a way. It's unsettling. Your personal history, the story of your life, is not a fixed and immutable record, but a living document, always being revised and updated. The next time you're absolutely sure about how something happened, convinced of the accuracy of your recollection, remember, your brain might have taken creative liberties, adding its own spin to the story. Not all memories are false, outright fabrications, but none are pristine, perfectly preserved snapshots of the past. Our minds curate our past, selectively choosing what to remember and what to forget, sometimes for comfort, to shield us from painful experiences, and sometimes for survival, to help us navigate future challenges. The truth? It's probably a remix, a blend of fact, fiction, and personal interpretation. If you can't trust your own memories, the very foundation of your personal experience, what can you trust? Let's look at how this affects our behavior, especially when we think no one's watching, when we believe we're free from judgment and scrutiny. The next fact is about empathy, anonymity, and the dark side of human nature, exploring the hidden aspects of our psychology. Here's a dark truth. We're more likely to hurt others when we can't see their eyes, or when we feel anonymous. Famous experiments like Milgram's showed people were more willing to inflict pain when the victim was out of sight. The less direct the connection, the easier it is to ignore empathy. This is called de-individuation, when anonymity erases personal responsibility. It's why online comments can be so cruel. The screen acts as a barrier, making the other person less real. Without eye contact, our compassion short-circuits. Social cues, faces, emotions regulate our behavior. Remove them, and darker impulses can surface. Propaganda often dehumanizes the enemy, making it easier to justify harm. Out of sight, out of mind, even for our conscience. Not everyone is secretly cruel, but we're all vulnerable to this psychological quirk. In a world mediated by screens, we have to work harder to remember the humanity on the other side. The power of a direct gaze is immense. It's a fundamental part of empathy. When it's missing, something important is lost. We risk becoming colder, harsher, without even realizing it. Understanding this helps us guard against it. The mind's shortcuts can be dangerous, but awareness is the first step. Now let's talk about a literal blind spot in your vision and how your brain covers it up. Right now you have a blind spot in each eye, a patch where you see nothing at all. The optic nerve creates this gap and there are no light-detecting cells there, but you never notice because your brain fills in the blank with what it thinks should be there. It's seamless. You see a complete world, but part of it is a fabrication. Your brain is a master at papering over the cracks in your perception. It takes incomplete data and creates a coherent picture. What you see isn't a perfect reflection of reality, it's an edited, enhanced version. This isn't just a minor trick, it's a fundamental principle of how we perceive the world. Our brains are constantly making sense of chaos, even if it means inventing details. Perception is an interpretation, not a direct window onto reality. The world you see is partly a construct, your brain's best guess. It's a reminder that even our most basic senses are subject to illusion. We trust our eyes, but our brain is always editing the feed. What other blind spots is it covering up? What else is it smoothing over for the sake of a coherent story? The mind's deceptions are everywhere. Most of the time, we never notice. But once you know, you can't unsee it. Let's wrap up with what all this means for how we live. Our brains are powerful, but they're also unreliable narrators, editing memories, distorting perceptions, filling in gaps. We live in a curated reality, designed by a mind that sometimes protects us, sometimes deceives us. Maybe that's for our own good, maybe not. But it's worth questioning. How much of what we experience is real, and how much is just a convincing illusion? This is GothicPsy, where the mind only gets stranger from here. If you want to keep questioning reality, stick around. Thanks for watching, stay aware.